Welcome to the Underdog Report. The Underdog Report, current events from a Christian perspective.
Currently, I'm the Associate Director of Epstein Justice and EpsteinJustice.com, which is an organization, nonprofit, nonpartisan, that is dedicated to the idea that victims of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and their criminal network have not received justice. And we're not going to rest until the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and their criminal co-conspirators do get justice. And that's going to require that there's a legitimate investigation into the crimes that have been committed, and B, real accountability, which may or may not involve legal sanctions.
There's so much news going on about the Epstein files these days. Everybody's talking about so many different things, and people are upset about it. People are complaining that nothing's been done, nobody's been arrested. And Peter, you have quite a background. You were in Afghanistan. You did inactive training, interactive training. You did a lot of different things. It says even with the different organizations. How did you get involved with the Epstein files?
Well, I got involved in this because my son, who lives in Omaha, Nebraska, my eldest son, read a book by a guy named Nick Bryant, who is the director of Epstein Justice. And that book is called The Franklin Scandal. And it's about another child sex trafficking network that was politically connected that had an unhappy ending. And the unhappy ending was that the entire matter was swept under the rug. It was declared a hoax. And all of the victims either died mysteriously, were forced to recant, except for one who was imprisoned with a 9-year prison sentence, presumably for not recanting. And so that had a very unhappy ending, the Franklin scandal. And when I reached out to Nick to talk to him about it, he said, well, that's nothing compared to what this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, did. Have you heard of him? And I hadn't. And before long, and when I say before long, I mean in a matter of months, Nick and I had formed Epstein Justice and EpsteinJustice.com with the goal of getting some sort of accountability in this particular matter that did not happen for those kids in Omaha.
Wow. So what are you doing regarding getting people some justice? Because I think everybody's a little frustrated, let's be honest with you. Okay, there's a lot of frustration going on regarding the Epstein files. There's been no arrests. We've heard people, from underground saying there's not going to be under any arrest. There's nothing going on, and there's a great frustration, especially among young people, that they're just dialing out. They're saying, "Okay, it's just a gigantic cabal. Everybody's involved, and I'm gonna drop out." And it depresses me because the evil will even take over more. Can you address that?
I can, and what I would say to that is that there's what we're asking for will require work. It's going to require effort, and it won't happen overnight. And that means that you can't give up at the first challenge. Nick and I formed this organization in 2021. And at the time, our goal was to press the Biden administration to take some steps and to take some action. And we've just continued because nobody, listen, Gary, right now, as one example, no one right now can tell me authentically why it is that Jeffrey Epstein got a great deal in 2008. And why did it take 3 years to get him that deal when he was arrested in 2005?
I can tell you, because he was unbelievably connected. As Tucker Carlson said, he was dialed in better than anybody.
So in other words, you're conceding, Gary, that there are two systems of justice, one for wealthy people and one for less wealthy people. Yeah, well, we at Epstein Justice think that's wrong. We think that's not only wrong, but it needs to be changed, and is something that can be changed. And if it can't, then I guess we're not living in America anymore. But I believe that we are. I believe that we can. And I believe that we, the American people, will. Because look, right now, as it stands right now, and you agree with this, I think, looks like billionaires can just come into my town, take children off the street, sexually assault them, and they can suffer no consequence because of their wealth. Well, that can't be right. That we can't live in a country where that's allowed, where that's acceptable, and where we don't, as a people, rise up and say, we're not going to allow that. And we're going to start right here by demanding accountability for the people who are involved in this.
I showed your website before. Let me show it again. What can people do to help you?
Here's what they can do. They can go to this website and they can find out, hey, during this primary season and during this election season, how can I put pressure on my lawmakers to get behind a legitimate, nonpartisan congressional investigation that will really dig into this? Not a phony bipartisan thing like the January 6th Commission, or, even what's going on in the House Oversight Committee right now is not legitimately nonpartisan. It's totally partisan. And we need to do better. We can do better.
It just seems that way. When there's a gigantic problem, they say, calm down, we'll do an investigation. Everybody forget about it. We got a war over here. We got this over here. Everybody forgets about it and nothing happens. We have to do better than that.
We can do better than that. And Gary, we will do better than that. And I urge every listener out there to join me on EpsteinJustice.com.
So can you sign up when you join? Is there a sign up thing there?
There is. There's a place you can sign up. There's a place you can ask for more information. You could even make a donation if you wanted to.
Show me where we can sign up here.
Yes, sir. Right there. And there's a lot of other options there too, where you can take some action, reach out to us, and we will reach back to you.
All right. Attend a campaign. I can even check who my representatives are. I'm down here in Florida. I'm sure they're on the good side over there.
Well, some are, some aren't, I'm sure. I hope so. I hope they're all good.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's I think Franklin said you can keep this republic if we can only keep this form of government if we can fight for it, if we can keep it. And we're not fighting for it. We're not fighting for it. And we have to continue to do that type of thing and get the word out, but get our politicians to be active. It's just a swamp over there. We appreciate what you're doing, and it's very important. We have to talk about getting justice. I mean, this is the two things in America, the two top things in my mind, and I think a lot of people agree with me: Epstein file and the SAVE Act. Epstein file and the SAVE Act. Those are the two things we got to see. And I love what your website says right on the beginning. It says, until we see rich men being perped, walked to jail, this is just a cover up. That's Representative Thomas Massie. And it's really true that that is happening. So we only got like about a minute. So this is the quick fire interviews. Listen, go to EpsteinJustice.com, and give us what you want the people to do to help you.
Specifically, ask your member of Congress, will you support a truly independent commission to investigate the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and their criminal co-conspirators? We know there were criminal co-conspirators. The Department of Justice has told us that themselves. Why haven't they been pursued? It's still not too late. Go and let's get together and make sure our Congress does its job. And it's the job of Congress to hold the executive branch accountable. It's a nonpartisan thing. It's just their job. It's in the Constitution. Make them do it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. We have our next guest here, Mr. Admin. Peter, lots of luck. I'd love to talk to you more and hear more about what you're doing. EpsteinJustice.com, EpsteinJustice.com. Thank you.
Gary, thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. So you have joined us, Mr. Avi. How are you?
Ali Safavi. Hello, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining. We're going to talk about different things today, and what we're going to talk about with you is Iran. My goodness, everybody's talking about Iran, and it's such a great topic. And what I want to talk about you for a second, because you're a socialist by training, but you're also a member of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, the NCRI, and Iran's parliament in exile. So you are part of the parliament in Iran. You know what's going on, and you have lectured and written extensively on Iran. And let's be honest, Avi, there's a lot of push going on right now, and the push is to get rid of the Ayatollahs, and they're pushing something else. And tell me what's really going on.
Well, yes, of course. When you talk about the NCRI, for us, this didn't happen on Monday. We have been fighting this regime for 47 years,
Whoa!
just like we fought against the Shah's regime since 1965. And in this 60-year journey, we have sacrificed a great deal. The founders of our movement, save for one, were all executed by the Shah. And
Wow!
100,000 of members and sympathizers of our movement were executed by the mullahs. So we have been fighting two tyrannies. And after all these trial and tribulations, all this suffering, torment, some of us having to live in exile, others in Iran, under severe repression of the regime, it seems that this journey is finally coming to a successful close, and a new chapter is being written in the history of this great nation of ours that has been yearning for freedom and democracy for 120 years, since the turn of the 20th century.
Now,
That said,
who's this good-looking guy here, Avi?
that said, as far as the situation within Iran is concerned, of course, you have seen 5 or 6 days of overwhelming force being used against the regime, the IRGC, the
Yep.
elimination of the supreme leader. Naturally, the Iranian people are more determined and more resolved than ever to send this regime to the dustbin of history, just like what they did with the Shah's regime, sending that also to the ash heap of history. And interestingly, in all of the uprisings that we have seen in Iran, including the one in January, one chant has been most prevalent, and that has been death to the dictator and down with the oppressor, whether the Shah or the leader, which indicates that the Iranian people want no theocracy, no monarchy, no turban, no crown, but a democratic republic which is representative of them. And interestingly,
All
3
right,
days ago,
you're getting to a very important point. I want to make a point here. So, because there's a lot of people pushing for they call him the baby Shah, the young Shah. I believe, and you're the expert, that it's moving towards a monarchy, correct? If that he gets back into power, is that correct?
I think he has as much a chance to go back to Iran and assume the throne as a pack of snow has in hell. That will never happen. The Iranian people in 1979, after fighting so hard against the Shah's regime, allowed, and may I say, were deceived by an imposter like Khomeini, who was sitting in Paris and saying all the correct words. And then once he got into Iran, he turned that revolution on his head. And when he was asked, what about his promises in Paris, he said, I deceived. And so
This is very important because there's a lot of news out there that they're pushing for the Shah, the former Shah. They call him the baby Shah, the son of Shah. There's a lot of move out there. And what you're saying today, and this is very important, I want to make sure we make a point on this. The Iranian people do not want that because that represents going back to the old regime, the old school. They want a republic that gets elected and a free Republican democracy that they haven't had since 1979 or even before. Is that a correct statement?
absolutely, absolutely, Gary. Let me just make a few points why I say this. One, the son of the Shah has never distanced himself from the crimes of his father. And everybody knows, we know, for us, it's not really history, it's memory. We lived it. I was a young man at the time of the Shah, involved in the student protests against him. And it was a police state. It was a corrupt regime. It sold out the country to foreigners, just like his son right now, before even setting foot on Iran, he is saying that, look, if I go to Iran and become the king, there are $1 trillion or even more for the US to be made. So he's basically selling out Iran even before he sets foot on Iran. Naturally, in a post-theocracy Iran, a democratic Iran would love to have good relations with every country around the world, including the US, but amicable relations based upon mutual respect and mutual interest. Remember that the British and the CIA colluded with the royal court and with the mullahs at the time to overthrow the popularly elected Prime Minister Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh, because he refused to allow the British to steal Iranian oil. And he also refused to sell it to the Russians. He said Iranian oil is for Iranians. And so that's reason number one. Reason number two, Reza Pahlavi, in the 47 years that he has been in exile in Washington, has never even lifted a finger to advance the cause of democracy and freedom in Iran.
But Avi,
what has he done?
Avi, let me I want to get to an important point. People don't know what you're saying. I want to get the voice out that the Iranian people do not want to go back to the Shah. They want a free democracy. The next question is, how do we get there? Do you have recommendations?
Exactly. Yes, definitely. Let me just say a couple of more words about Reza Pahlavi. He claims to be representing all Iranians, right? Well, 35% of Iranians are its ethnic communities, the Kurds, the Baluchis, the Arabs, the Turkmens, and others. The Kurds formed a coalition a few days ago, 5 of them, Kurd organizations, 5 of them, to form a united front. And Reza Pahlavi issued a scathing statement calling them separatists and warning them that he will send the army to oppress them. And he's not even in Iran. And so he is basically interested in disenfranchising 35% of the Iranian population. That's not going to cut it. No way. No way. If he goes to Iran, you will see a civil war in the country. That said, looking to the road ahead, 3 days ago, the NCRI, as the longest lasting political coalition in the history of Iran, announced the formation of a provisional government.
Here's your website. I just want to show everybody the website here.
Yes,
we just have about a minute left, so I want to make use of that time.
Sure. It's a provisional government that will hold free and fair elections no later than 6 months after the fall of the current regime, at which point a legislative constituent assembly will be elected that will draft the constitution for the new republic. And after that is put to vote, it is the Iranians who decide what their future is going to look like, not some exile from abroad, but the people themselves. And I think we are getting there, because right now the resistance unit affiliated with the MEK are taking the fight to the mullahs. Just last night, they carried out 30 operations in 15 cities against the IRGC, the paramilitary Basij, and other regime organs. And they're going to continue that despite a warlike situation with bombs dropping. So Iran will be free through the power of its people and its organized resistance.
Thank you very much.
That day will come.
Coming to next, last quick question, yes or no, are you happy with what President Trump is doing?
Well, I think to the extent that the President Trump has broken from the appeasement policy of previous administrations like Obama and Joe Biden, who in search of an illusory nuclear deal sacrificed the welfare of the Iranian people, I think that's a welcome step.
Thank you very much, Avi. I hope to talk to you guys. This is important information that people understand. The Iranian people want freedom. That's exactly what they want, and that's what they're looking for. So I look forward to having you again. These are quick fire interviews. Thank you. We're out to 10 million people on WPAT, 9:30 a.m., and we're looking forward. God bless you, and we'll see you soon, Avi.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you for the opportunity.
God bless you. Alicia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks
Very
for
good.
having me.
Very good. Hey, we have a mutual friend, I understand.
Yeah, Dr. Childress, right?
Yes, Dr. Childress. He's been a friend of mine. I've seen him a number of times, and I'm glad what you're here. But let me tell our audience who you are, if you don't mind. So this is Ayesha Kreutz. Did I pronounce that correct?
No, but that's okay. Nobody does. It's Ayesha Kreutz.
Ayesha Kreutz, and you're a chaplain. Hey, you're ordained. I love that. And you're a spokesman for Compass Care. I've had them on before. They're an amazing organization. Project 21 ambassador, another great organization. Executive director of Am I Not a Child? My goodness, you're busy, Ayesha. Founding member of organizations Frederick Douglass Foundation, the Coalition to Protect Kids, the Frederick Douglass Freedom Alliance. My goodness. So you've doing so much. There's so much to talk about. But what do you want to talk about today? I think we talked about two things. We want to talk about abortion, Black genocide, and Mr. Mad Dami in New York City. That's what I call him. But you first.
Sure. Well, yes, as far as a lot of the different things that God kind of puts me in, but all of them really around that pro-life issue. And it's an honor being able to represent Compass Care and other organizations, Project 21 and stuff, really talking about how we're going to protect, this, especially in the climate that we're in right now, right? Whether it's Madami, whether it's the Congress, right? I live in New York State, and how we're going to protect women, children, and our families as a whole. And really, a lot of that just stems from, who we as a nation want to be, right? Do we want to be able to promote life and acceptance, or death and rejection? Right. I mean, and that kind of comes down to that. And I think we're seeing a huge issue in New York State when it comes to people like Mandami, Kathy Hochul, all of them, and the policies that they're putting forth that are putting a stranglehold on pregnancy resource centers, which are really systems that are built around to support moms, so that we can, have a thriving society, because we're not even at replacement rate as a whole, right? I think it's like 1.6 is what we're at. But
Is this now this is your website, right? Compass Care?
Yeah, Compass Care, yeah. And for me, it even is a little bit deeper, because today in the Black community specifically, right? We have a serious problem with the way that this issue is being pushed out, and and my people are dying. The civil rights.
Absolutely. Now, I did talk to Chal just years ago, so I have some very old numbers. I would appreciate if you could update me. But we know that the pregnancy, the Planned Parenthood are targeted in Black communities. There's no argument. The founder wanted to get rid of Blacks. It's stated. We can find that. But I believe it was 10 or 15 years ago that more than 50% of every Black pregnancy ended in abortion. Is that number still that high?
It is. Well, it's not 50. I mean, again, we have to go by official numbers. So the number is probably higher than what I'm going to say. But it's about 37%, 37% is what's on the books of, Blacks having an abortions. And today, but using those numbers from this is Childress, and a few others, right? That when we look at the statistics in the Black community, abortion does claim more lives than violence, AIDS, heart disease, all of those combined.
Combined.
abortion, right, does everything. And if we think about this, right, the entire Black population in the 1960 was about 19 million Blacks that were there. This is Arnold Coldbreath, had said at one time, and I just stopped.
Was that New York or is that the whole nation?
Huh?
Was that New York, the whole nation?
And the whole nation, right?
19 million, and what year was that?
1960.
Okay.
So that was the Black population. Since Roe v. Wade, more than 20 million Blacks have been aborted, right? So that means that we have extinguished a whole population, right? If you look at it in that time, and that means that, right, the whole 1960s population just wouldn't be here today. It simply disappeared. Could you imagine if overnight that disappeared? And that's a stark difference that, I mean, how do you ignore that? How do we take that?
You can't ignore it. Any culture, any people, any country that believes in sacrifice of their children, you can't sustain yourself. So what happened when I was young and were young, people like me, they used to work. We used to do menial jobs. So now they say, well, we don't want our kids doing menial jobs. They're on the internet playing around, and the excuse. Exactly. They have the excuses. We need to open up the borders. Abortion and open borders are very closely related. If we stopped abortion, we would have more people to.
Absolutely right. Think about the buying power of Blacks just in general, right? Again, abortion is bigger than just Blacks and whites and stuff. But again, if we're talking about it from this perspective, that the buying power of the Black community, we would basically be double the population right now. We're about 14% of the population. We'd be almost 30% of the population if not for abortion. That and instead, the first time in history, you have one ethnic group overtaking another ethnic group, which is Spanish overtaking, right? And again, think about this. This is so Compass Care, right? They just opened up some, pregnancy centers in Brooklyn, Bronx. But in Brooklyn, for every 100 babies born, 100 or Black babies born, 113 Black babies are aborted in Brooklyn, New York.
So that's more than 50%. So that's
200. That's more than 100%.
Out of 213 births, 113 are aborted. Oh my God.
For every 100.
That's ridiculous. And that's right. Targeting. They're targeting.
And then you have people like Mandami who are then coming after pregnancy centers, right? That are trying to support the women that feel like, right? Because you feel trapped. I'm post-abortive. So I am coming from personal
God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah. And then I have my youngest child. Well, actually my two youngest. One is a rescue baby straight out. I was getting ready to walk into Planned Parenthood, and my middle child, she was, they told me that she might have Down syndrome, all these things, and so abortion was really thankfully, both of those things didn't happen. So not only have I had abortions, but I understand what it's like to really be thinking about it. I look at my kids now and I'm so thankful that they're here. But the difference is, all of the negative things that I was thinking about myself and about my situation when I had the abortions, there were people confirming it, right? They were like, yes, you can't have this baby. It's going to, I was 14 when I got pregnant the first time. It's going to ruin your life. Versus,
Alicia, I want to get to a point that's very, very important. Listen, if you're listening to this, if you are considering getting an abortion, especially if you're in New York like Alicia is, go to compasscare.com. Compasscare.info.
Compasscare.info.
And there are resources, phone numbers, places you can go just to talk to somebody. Hey, we can't be extinguishing our young. I'd like to switch topics really quickly. We have a minute to go. Tell me about what I call him Mad Mandami in New York City. What's he doing? You kind of mentioned.
Yeah, basically trying to make it so that pregnancy, when I say discriminate, it's because, right, if you don't refer somebody for an abortion, then, is that going to be considered discrimination? And it's a serious issue that is coming up because of the passage of Prop 1 and also laws that he's trying to put in there. So again, the very people that he's supposed to be the most vulnerable to protect, you have policies that are now going into place that are going to further eliminate, our ability as pregnancy resource centers to function, right? To offer a safe place for these women and surround them, give them the testing, all of the information that they need. Planned Parenthood gets billions and billions of dollars. If we're going to be fined all the time because because they're talking about $250,000 per incident if somebody complains, that is outrageous, and it is just
All right,
another
I say that one more
assault.
time. One more time. About the
So they're talking about a fine for $250,000. Like basically, if you don't refer, if they can say that you are discriminating against abortion because we're not referring people to an abortion clinic as part of the treatment of a pregnant woman coming in, right? And we're already talking to women who have probably already sought out an abortion, right? Or are already abortion minded.
Well,
And so
Alicia,
now,
as you know, we're on the quick fire interview. Please go
sure.
to compasscare.info. Compasscare.info. God bless you. We have common friends. We love what you're doing, and it's about life. And thank you for admitting that you are post-abortive and you've seen the light, and you're probably a very good person to teach others. God bless you. I hope to hear more. Let's keep in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. God
God
bless.
Okay. Well, Mr. Nan, you're back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry for the confusion, but we're on quick fire interviews, but you have your time, and I appreciate so much that you're here and talking to us. So, tell me about what you're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about if you want to talk about connected to Iran, why Iran is so important to China, and then what's the game plan, and I think why the Iran why the the major military operation of United States together with Israel are so important to the United States to defeat the threat from China.
Here's some of your background. China mocks U.S. over Epstein humiliation. A lot of people, and Casey Fleming, who I've had on this, he wrote this book, The Red Tsunami. I think you should get it. Um, People are really concerned about China. People talk about, oh, Russia, 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 but they view China as the sleeping bear, the sleeping giant, so to speak, and about what they're going to be doing, and they're in the background. I still believe America has the strongest military, and it is a deterrent, as we can see today. But what's going on with China in your mind?
Well, first of all, Russia is nowhere near the power of China. China's economy is 9 times of Russia today. So
9 times.
nine
Wow.
times, yes.
Wow.
That's why it's important that President Trump that he made a national security strategy back in November of last year, published and talking about the Western atmosphere, which I'm sorry, Western hemisphere. Which is to shake up our backyard. But however, if you look at the West national security strategy, he spend more time to talk about Asia than the Western Hemisphere. Why? Because that's our front. So the purpose of stabilize and secure our backyard is to will enable us to defeat the threat from China and to defend the peace in the Western Pacific. So
Now
it's very
they're
important.
absolutely. Now they're trying to embarrass certain people by using the Epstein files, aren't they?
Of course, well, I don't, I'm your China expert. I'm not the Epstein expert, but however, it's Trump is moving in the right direction to defeat China. Now, if you look at our U.S. government's China policy, it's been in the wrong direction for all 50 years until Trump's first term. In
I
the beginning,
agree. I agree. I remember when it was Nixon who first opened up China, and all this money went to China, and all this production has come out of the United States, and now they have all this money and all this power, and they're starting to use it against us.
that it's correct. In 2001, we allowed China to join WTO. And the first 10 years, after China joined WTO, China's GDP grow 5 times. And then that's to 2011. From 2011 to 2021, the second 10 years, it doubled. So China's economic size grow tenfold first 20 years after it joined WTO, while at the same time, the United States, we actually deindustrialized. We deindustrialized ourselves and we industrialized China. We Americans really take it for granted because we were born in an industrialized nation, we grew up in the industrialized nation, and we live our whole life in the industrialized nation. We totally forgot how difficult for a nation to become industrialized. Now, from World War II, the end of World War II to the end of 2000, that 55 years, the entire world only have 4 more nations to become industrialized. That's Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, and Israel. Now, prior to the end of World War II, there were 26 countries industrialized. That's basically the Western world plus Czech Republic and Russia.
Wow.
So,
You know your stuff, Mr. Nan Su. You know your stuff. Listen,
yeah.
what can the American people do? I mean, we all feel so, China is huge, America is huge. What can we do to help secure America again and try to stop what China is doing against us?
Strength, peace with strength. We need to quickly build up our strength, and we need to let our ally in the Europe take care of their own problem. So we can, the United States, because think about this, all the NATO our allies in NATO they have 30 countries in Europe plus Ukraine. That's 31 countries. Their population is more than US population, and they
Yeah,
are dealing with Russia, and we dealing with China, which is 9 times of Russia. They shouldn't counting on us to help them, while we have to quickly build up our strengths and also push our allies in Asian Pacific like Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, push them, to increase their defense budget. That's the first thing we need to do. And the second of all, we need to stop the infiltration of China into United States.
that's excellent. They purchased all that land near the military bases. All of a sudden, they're buying and everything for the dollar. How large is the Chinese military compared to the U.S., would you say?
Well, China, well, of course, the Chinese military, they have like 2 million military plus half million reserve, and then they have another 1.5 million they call it military police. Those are not the regular police force doing the law enforcement. They are the military, the military that's living in the military base. They are equipped with tanks, helicopters, and then warships. So total together, they will have about 4 million.
I know,
Now,
yeah, doing the math, that's huge.
yeah, it is huge. And then also China ever since, I'm not sure people still remember back in 2008 when Beijing Olympic has when the whole world watched the spectacular Beijing Olympic opening ceremony. Now, ever since 2008, every year Chinese military budget has been increasing 7 to 8%. And this year, official number, which it's not true. Usually they spend double as that much. Official number is 1.91 trillion yen, which you divide by seven, close to, you have to divide by
Eight,
seven to get.
800
uh,
million, 900 million, something like that.
Uh, yeah, 900 billion, about, no,
Billion,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, yeah,
billion, billion,
900 mi uh-huh.
billion. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So now they spend a lot more than that because that 1.5 million so-called military police, uh, their budget it's not a part of their military budget. You see, they have 2 million military and 1.5 military police, and then 1.5 military police, their budget is not under the military. See, this they spend a lot more. So that's the problem, and we need to catch up.
So if you want to know more about China, read The Red Tsunami by Casey Fleming, The Silent Storm Killing Your Freedom. We hear little bits and pieces, but it's important to know what's really going on. Read The Red Tsunami. It's available on Amazon. You can get it there anytime you want and find out what China is doing. And also, do what you can. I know this is almost impossible. If I said to American people, stop buying Chinese products, the answer would be, that's impossible. Everything is made in China. So we have,
Well, it is possible, right? Nowadays, because of the Trump tariffs, a lot of Western corporations are relocated their supply chain out of China. So
that's
nowadays,
great.
it's really possible that we can actually just buy American products.
That's fantastic. So that's the next question is, so you're supportive of what Trump is doing with the tariffs?
That it's correct. Trump's tariffs has increased. Has dramatically increased our national security and trying to bring the manufactured job coming back to the United States. We after we deindustrialized ourselves, actually. Those manufactured job they pass down from one generation to another. After a couple of generations, we don't know how to do it. Now we have to, have people from South Korea help us to rebuild our shipbuilding industry. Have our Japanese friend to help us to rebuild our nuclear power industry, and have people from Taiwan to help us to rebuild our semiconductor industry. You
That's
know,
scary. That is scary.
that's scary.
That's intellectual loss. That's an intellectual drain that's been going on in America. Yes. And, you know, the other thing is you can see in universities there is a gigantic incentive and rush to bring in foreign students to get undergrad and master's degrees, and they are just trying to get as many as they can. And within the United States, it's almost they're trying to discourage men from going to college. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, that's true. In 2021, in 2020 to 2021, that's that year. I had an investigation report. In this academic year of 2020 to 2021, the University of California, which has 10 campuses throughout the California. The 10 campus total have 9% of its students from China. I'm not talking about the Chinese Americans. I'm talking about the students with Chinese national from China. That's 9% of students from China, and also we actually and then I look back, UC campus, UC universities of that 10 campus. Back in 2005, they have a so-called 10 plus 10 alliance built with 10 top universities in China. So we literally invite them coming to the United States. And in 2014, UC Berkeley, joining by China's top university, Tsinghua University, which is got a nickname of China's MIT. They start this graduate school in Shenzhen. That's the city in China next to Hong Kong. And then we literally Chinese government don't have to send their students to Americas. We go there. We brought the latest technology to China. We put it into their hands, and then
Absolutely. One of the most outrageous things is the fact that the fact that you know China requires every country, every company that does business to give their intellectual property to them. They have,
yes,
which is
yes.
why? Who would agree to that?
Well, that's true. Well, I'll give you an example. Rare earth. China didn't have any rare earths in the 80s. Now, in the 1992, the Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping, that's the second generation of CCP after Chairman Mao, he made a claim. He said, Middle East has oil. We have rare earth. So that's how China started this rare earth. They opened up their country. They West welcome all the corporations from the Western world to go to China, to drill, to refine, to do whatever you want, with only one condition though. One condition. Basically, all the foreign corporations go to China in the rare earth industry. You have to collaborate with the China's state-owned business, and you cannot have more than 50% of the share. So with that
Wow.
setup, yeah, with that setup, so they basically learn everything, from the Western world, the technical know-how, and also every aspect. And then, China right now they produce more than 70% of the entire world's rare earths and process more than 90% of the heavy rare earths. And the seven rare earths, heavy rare earths, that's very important to our defense industry. Which means what? Which means even you can find a rare earth anywhere else or outside of China, you still have to send them to China for processing. Now, in 2021, after China became dominant in the rare earth industry in the world, they changed their policy. They basically, in 2021, they banned any foreign countries to go to China to invest in rare earths. And also, they make a legislation to ban the China's rare earth technology to be shared by any foreign country. See, that's how things change, and now, they try to cut off the rare earth supply to the Western world. That's the very coercive way against the entire, economy in the Western world.
I mean, rare. They're trying to cut us off from the rare earth. Yeah, that's crazy. That's what's happening, and they're exerting their power as much as they can. But thank God, Trump is there. He's trying to do his best. We thank God for the terrorists. I'm not happy with the Supreme Court and what they're saying, that he doesn't have the authority. It's clear. It's always been in his authority to do that. We've given you some extra time because my last guest isn't showing up. So you have some
Okay.
extra time here. So what else can you tell us?
Well, think about, why the Middle East is so important. Why to defeat Iran is so important. Now, think about this. 70% of the oil that used by the CCP in China, that's from the import. Now, among them, half of them is from the Middle East. If the U.S. military can defeat Iran, and we destroy their navy, if U.S. economy have total control of air and sea, including the control of Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and
Well,
Arabian
Mr.
Sea.
Nan Su, I want to say thank you because my guest is finally coming on, but you got
All
some
right.
on there. We appreciate it. Hey, go to
Thank you, Gary.
what's your website? Is there a website you want to give us?
Epochtimes.com. That's
Yeah, epochtime.com.
EPOCHTIMES.
Yes, people know that very well. And I'd love to have you on. And people need to understand China. So God bless you. We're going to have our next guest coming on any second. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Gary.
Thank you. All right. So, Stephen, hello. How are you?
Doing okay.
Yes. And I want to tell you, I have been reading your book. Okay. There it is. And it is a town called Sutherland Springs. And there's a couple of things I picked up. Now, for our audience, this has been a regular. It's Mr. Stephen Willeford, the gentleman who saved many lives by shooting at a person who was broke into the church and started killing people. Unfortunately, he did kill 26 people. Only 3 people out of the whole church ended up leaving without injury or death. But in his book, it says from 2020 to 2023, okay, the Crime Prevention Research Center, they compiled this 37 times where police said people legally carrying guns stopped what otherwise would have been a mass public shooting. 60% of times that somebody went on to kill other people, it wasn't the police who stopped them. It was the private citizen, and we know what happened at Univad, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
they had hundreds of police. I think you give the number of police here. It's unbelievable how many they had, and they 376 law enforcement people, and they took a position. What did you do? I took a position. They let the guy shooting. He's killing the kids in the room, and they did nothing. And
How sad is that? How sad is that?
What would you do if you were there?
Well, I would have went in because I was there. Maybe not that situation, but the other one,
That's right.
He
He shot
say
it
that
10 times.
they said that police do not have any obligation to defend you unless you're in their custody. And that's just wrong. If I put my grandson on one of the big yellow school buses, I expect you to protect him like I would. Um, use every bit of anything that I would to protect my own grandson. And in my opinion, when I put them on that big yellow school bus and they go to school, they are in your custody, and you should be protecting our children.
By the way, here's your website, thebarefootdefender.com, thebarefootdefender.com. You can read about his story, about his get his book, which I have, and also invite him to come speak. He also trains churches how to protect themselves.
And please go to gunowners.org and sign up. Be part of the solution.
Yeah, so that's important. I want to talk about gunowners.org. Tell us about what they do.
We fight for your gun rights. We fight for your ability to be able to own a gun, an AR-15, or anything that you so desire. The right to keep and bear arms isn't
their website, gunowners.org. Please go there, sign up.
It's not negotiable. The Second Amendment shall not be infringed.
Shall not be infringed. Right.
I didn't write that. Our founding fathers did.
That's right. For the main reason of protecting us against who?
The tyrannical government.
What a surprise. It's not just for hunting, it's for protection. And we protect ourselves because we are a free country. And we protect, if we're carrying guns, if we're gun carriers, we protect those around us. If someone goes goes crazy, at least there are gun owners who will stop them. So there's so much
Absolutely.
going on. There's voting going on. Tell me what's number one on your hit parade this morning?
Well, actually, right now in West Virginia, and this is really cool, we are getting the Hughes Amendment overturned in West Virginia. Not really overturned, but we found a legal loophole that allows West Virginians to be able to buy full automatic machine guns, modern full automatic machine guns produced and actually sold to them by the Department of uh, Public Safety for their DPS can sell full automatic machine guns to their civilians. And Kentucky is going to follow in and follow that up, and hopefully Texas will be signing up for it too soon. Please go to gunowners.org, see the fight, see what we're doing, and make it a happening thing.
There it is, gunowners.org, right there. We're off the air, but we're still being recorded, and I'll put you on YouTube when we get there. We had some technical difficulty, but we're recording this. And there's so much going on. There's West Virginia, this is what you were talking. No, that's Wyoming, right? What's going on? Take action there. So you can sign up and take action. Attack on machine gun sales. Texas primary. How'd the primaries go, as far as you know?
Uh, like most primaries, we won some, but we lost more than what we wanted to, and we're in runoffs in others. So we're trying to get rid of the our Texas Rhino, John Cornyn, and we're trying to get him replaced with Ken Paxton. We're trying to replace Tony Gonzalez with Brandon Herrera, and both of those are in runoffs. In District 35, I was trying to push to get Jay Furman elected, a true conservative, and he didn't make it into the runoff. Carlos Cruz, Dela Cruz did, and Carlos has not been in Congress before. However, we know his sister is a big rhino, and so but Carlos Dela Cruz is going on to the runoff in this district. So, but we did get rid of Dan Cranshaw. Steve Toth, a
Oh,
very
thank
good
goodness, Mr. One Eye, Mr. Evil Eye. He only had one eye, but it was pretty evil.
I really wanted to like Dan Crenshaw because he's a former Navy SEAL and lost his eye to in defense of our country. I really wanted
Right,
to like
right.
him. However, his policy was horrible. And
Yes.
he was a rhino. He voted, never found a red flag that he didn't like. And he also voted for the Safer Communities Act, which is definitely gun control and put on by the Bidens and stuff. And so Dan Crenshaw was bad for Texas. And now they've replaced Dan Crenshaw with a very strong conservative Christian, Steve Toth. And so
Thank God.
that was a good positive.
Can I ask you an unrelated question? We're not on the air, but at least we're recording ourselves. But this is not really related to the Second Amendment. But what the heck is going on in Texas with this explosion of mosques and Muslims moving in?
No, well, it's hard to control that. And we're hoping that, we have now got bills and stuff to ban Sharia law. And we're wanting to do that and to keep them from trying to impose their own laws and stuff and to have no-go zones and things in Texas.
Yeah, you
So
can't have a dog. All this crazy stuff. Then they want to have the call to prayer 5 times a day. That we used to have. The churches used to ring the bells. Remember that when we were younger? Do you hear any bells anymore? No. There are a
no,
lot,
you
but
don't hear the bells anymore.
a lot of towns they tried to get rid of those. But what a call to prayer that goes out 10 times louder? It's just ridiculous. Hey, they know what time it is. You're not stupid. It's 2 o'clock. Pray at 2 o'clock. You don't need a call to prayer. So
Absolutely.
I'm sorry about going off on that. That's not really the topic. So gunowners.org, gunowners.org. Stephen, it's always a pleasure You're a hero. You saved people's lives. That guy shot 10 times at you. Thank God he never hit you. You shot 6 times at him and you hit him every time. So thank God that you're a good shot. If you are a gun carrier, get training. Get the training. Practice, because you never know when it's going to be needed. And if you do have a gun, protect yourself with some of these organizations that provide legal support. You have one that you recommend, Stephen?
Right to bear.
Right to Bear. It's not an insurance company. You got to be careful.
It's prepaid legal.
Prepaid legal. So the benefit is, if it's an insurance company, they are incented not to protect you. But here is prepaid legal is much better. Is that correct? Did I word that
That
correctly?
is absolutely correct. And if you do go to protectwithbear.com, and when you're filling it out, if you use the Barefoot Defender for a promo code, you'll get a discount.
One more time. What's the website you go to sign up?
Protectwithbear.com.
Protect with what?
With bear.
BARE?
Yes.
Protectwithbear.com. And then you use the Barefoot Defender as the
Promo code.
promo code. Thank you. Protect with Bear and Barefoot Defender. A lot of bears in there, you know. Anyway, it's always a pleasure. I'm sorry about a technical difficulty. Anyway, this is fine. You came out great. God bless you. I love seeing you and meeting you, and we'll talk very soon.
All right. God bless.
Bye-bye.